So welcome back to another video, and today we are talking about blush. So inspired by the ranking of my fall palettes, I thought it would be actually quite fun to continue with the theme, and today we're talking about blushes. And I think in generally this year it really has been the year of blushes. There has been so many of them coming out, and a lot of brands have been coming out with liquid blushes because those have been now trendy for quite a while, but there has also been some good traditional powder blush releases. So today I will be showing some of my favorites, and these aren't just products that have been released this year, there are some older products too, and I think there's also a good variety of products here, from drugstore priced products to more expensive blushes. So these are not in any particular order, these are all blushes that I like very much. I do think that my blush drawer is in a bit of a need of a declutter because, like I said, there has been so many blushes coming out this year, and because there has been so much of them coming out, I think my drawer is getting a bit full, and it's, I think, definitely a product that perhaps next year it's something that I won't be buying as much as I've been buying this year. And there will be a picture showing a hand swatch of each of the blushes that I am showing this in this video, so you will be able to see how the blush looks like when you've actually applied it onto your skin. So first I will be going through some orange toned blushes, and because I have a cool skin tone with a rosy undertone, orange is not a color that I particularly use a lot because I don't think it suits my skin tone, but there are a couple of orangey blushes that I do own and what I do think fit the fall time perfectly. So first one is a liquid blush, and this is from GlossGods. So GlossGods is a Swedish indie brand, and aside from having very awesome eyeshadow palettes, they have these very nice liquid blush products, and they have extended the shade range, I think, a couple of times. What I think you should know about this formula, and you will see it in a photo, that this is a more see-through blush formula, so it's not very pigmented, and it definitely leaves a more sheer finish to your skin tone. So I'd say if you have a darker or a medium skin tone, these might not show up on you, or you have to layer them quite a lot. But I know there are also a lot of you who like a more buildable liquid blush, so for those people these are very good. And generally the formula of these is very easy to work with. And this shade is called Lovey Dovey, and what I like about this, that actually on the skin it's not this sort of bright orange, it is a bit more muted. So for, let's just say, if there is an office look or any kind of situation that you need a more toned down blush, then I think this is a very good color and a very good option. Next blush recommendation is also more of a liquid format. So this is the GlamShop potted blushes, and these are cream blushes obviously. And the shade I have is semi-dry, and this is also, I'm gonna take the lid off so you can see the color a bit better. And this is also, it's more orange tone, but it's more muted, this almost sort of like a neutral orange tone. And these are a bit more pigmented than, for example, the GlossGods blushes, but I still say these are on the side of being buildable, so you won't have to be afraid that you will go overboard with these very quickly. These I would recommend applying, well, I apply most of my blush products with the powder blushes I apply with a brush, but the liquid blushes I usually use a sponge for. And for this, if I think you want more pigment, then I think actually the sponge is a better option. I don't know how this would apply with a brush, so if you have tried these with brushes, then feel free to comment below how do they apply. But GlamShop has a good shade variety of these, though they recently did also come with the more liquid blushes in this type of packaging. I haven't tried those, so I can't tell how they are, but at least the potted cream blushes, I would recommend these, and I definitely think that this is a beautiful shade for all of your fall makeup. So next, another indie brand, and this is the Oden's Eye Powder Blushes, and I will show you. So this is, I think, a more traditional, it's not a bright orange, it is still a bit more muted, but this is definitely, if you really don't like a pigmented orange powder blush, then I would not recommend going with these, because these do carry quite a lot of pigment when you apply them. And the orange shade is called Warm Sun. I think it's a very accurate considering the shade that it's in. I don't actually know what the situation with these powder blushes are, because I remember when Oden's I came with these in their Solomon collection, and I think they said that these and the highlighters that came with these were supposed to be like a permanent line of products. However, last time I checked on their site when I did the previous order, when I ordered the new Angelica Nyqvist collaboration palette and the Jewels and Gems palette, a lot of these were out of stock, and it was the same also with the highlighters, that those also most of the shades were out of stock. So I don't know what's the situation with these. Are they reformulating them, or are they gonna bring out some other blush products? I would hope so, because the powder blushes and the highlighters that came with these, I really like the quality of those, and those are one of my, I have the more pink shade also in the same range. But if you are able to get your hand on this and you like this sort of powder tone and you like a more pigmented blush, then definitely a recommendation from me. Next, I have a couple of traditional drugstore options, and first let's start with W7. So this is the Lotus blush, and even though this packaging would imply that this is actually a bright pink, but when you actually look inside of it, this is more sort of muted neutral tone pink, and that is why I also chose it for this particular video. What you should be aware of these, that these are very pigmented blushes, so if you're someone who likes a more buildable blush, I would recommend, they have this range of NARS, I believe it's what they're duping. These are obviously duping the Benefit ones, but if you want a more buildable blush from W7, then I would definitely look for those that are in the sleek black plastic packaging, because these do carry quite a punch. But this is definitely, I think we've had quite a lot of these very pigmented bright pink blushes this summer due to the Barbie movie, and I believe it was a cool girl trend that was going on in the winter. But if you want a more muted pink blush that still is quite shows up on the skin quite quickly, then I would definitely recommend these W7 ones. And these are very inexpensive. I think these cost like, I don't know, 3 or 4 euros. So very cheap, and there is quite a lot of also product here, so you won't be running out of this anytime soon if you buy one. Next, I'm gonna show a Catrice option. So this is their Air Glow blushes, and I know these have been actually very raved about on YouTube, and I think there's a good reason, because I do think the formula in this, it's quite good. Let's just say that I have tried more expensive blushes that have worse formula than these. So here is, I'm gonna take a lid off, what the shade is like, and this is the more, if you're looking for this more sort of wine toned blush, then I think this is good. I will be showing next a more expensive blush that I think is quite close to the color of this, but this is definitely, if you're looking for this sort of more wine mauve toned blush for the fall season, but you still want it to have a bit more pink in it, then this is a very good option. This does build relatively quickly, so I would say that if you want more of a sheer layer, then use a more gentle hand when you pick this up with a brush. But I definitely think that you can't beat the price of these. I believe the current price these are going for is somewhere between 4 or 6 euros, depending where you buy them. And they have recently released 2 new shades in this collection. However, I actually think that one of the new shades was actually quite close to already this existing one. I only bought the more orange toned one, well, orange is actually more like peachy toned one from the new fall release, but I didn't feel that I needed the second one, because I felt it looked very close to this one that I already have. But anyway, that's another good recommendation from the drugstore if you're looking for a more inexpensive fall toned blushes. Now for the more higher end blushes, and here I have 2. I have one single blush and one that's a blush palette. I didn't pick up too many palettes to this video, because I feel that usually if you buy a blush palette, then you usually have a mix of shades that usually can range. If you like to categorize your makeup seasonally, which is something that I like, then usually palettes have shades that you can kind of like mix around all around the year. So that's why there's only one blush palette in this video. But anyway, first one that is very expensive. So this is the Chanel blush from the new fall collection. The shade, I believe, is named Beige Rose is the shade name. And here is what it's looking like. And this is what I said, that it's quite close to the Catrice blush I showed. This is a bit darker, goes darker on the skin, and with this I would say that also use a light hand if you have a fair skin tone like me, or you don't like very highly pigmented blush. But this does work also on a fair skin tone, because I know the color can look quite intimidating in the pan. And I think this is just the perfect fall-toned dark movie blush, and it suits quite a lot of the fall-toned makeup products that come out this time of the year. One thing you should be aware of, this is very heavily scented, but the scent doesn't linger once you get it on your cheek. But just be aware that this is scented, because a lot of luxury brands for some reason like to scent their products, which I don't understand, because for example I don't like how this smells. It's a very stingy florally scent that this has, but it doesn't stay once you apply it to your skin. The scent goes away, but just don't be surprised when you open the compact. This is very expensive. I managed to get this with a 20% discount, but even with the discount I still managed to pay over 60 euros from this. So definitely you have to like your luxury makeup to buy this, and like I said, there are more inexpensive options. I do think, for example, that I think, is it Pillow Talk or another, Charlotte Tilbury, for example, I think has a blush color that is actually quite close to this. I have owned the shade, but I have decluttered it because it was getting quite old. And even that is like more inexpensive than the Chanel one. And like I said, Catrice one is also quite close dupe. It is more pink toned than this one on the cheeks, but the shade is quite close. And I'm sure there are also other options you can look for this color if this is like out of your price range, and you definitely shouldn't buy this if you can't afford it, because there are more inexpensive options available. But nonetheless, if you want to get it, then it's a very beautiful shade, and the formula is very wonderful. And next is the last blush on the video, and this is the palette. So this is the Pat McGrath holiday palette from last year. Unfortunately, this is no longer available. And this year she didn't come out with blush palettes per se. She had the two bigger eyeshadow palettes, from which I own the other one. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it had two blushes. But last year she came out two of these blush palettes, and I decided to get the one Nude Venus, which was this one. And I like the name implies, this has more nude tone blushes, and that is why I chose it for this video. So why I chose this is that I think on summer times a lot of us gravitate towards the more brighter blushes, but for the fall I like to have my blush shades a bit more muted and toned down, and that is why this was the only sort of palette that made it into this ranking. And I'd say all of these are very beautiful shades. This is perhaps the only one that is actually a bit more brighter once you applied it on cheeks, but all three of these are these more nice, more muted tones that I think complement all types of particularly very neutral fall makeup really well. The highlighter that is in this, it's not my favorite. It's quite powdery, but this isn't about the highlighters, this is about the blushes. But definitely if you have this, then I would recommend digging it out now. It is of course also good when we are transferring to the holiday season soon, because soon we will be seeing a lot of holiday looks, and we have had of course already quite a lot of the holiday makeup releases coming out, or they are soon going to be coming out. So this is, I think, a very good transition palette when you're considering that you will soon start having all those New Year's evening and Christmas parties and pre-Christmas parties. So also for those, this is a very, very good palette, but also you can use this as your everyday blush palette, and the tones just fit the autumn season perfectly. And that is why it was the second higher end blush product that I had in this video. Those were all of the blushes I had for this video. Comment down below, did you agree or disagree with my choices? What are your favorite blush products that you like to use during the fall season, or are you still in the very bright pink Barbie blush phase that I think we're all in during the summertime? And I have seen that we are still getting quite a lot of pink blushes, so I definitely think the pink blush craze isn't exactly over yet. I won't be doing a similar video on contour or bronzer products or highlighters, because those are products that I actually do use. Like, I use the same products around the year. And I think my highlighter taste, for example, it's quite boring. Like, I'm the person who's quite happy with this champagne or peachy peachy highlighters, so there's no reason for me to do a separate seasonal ranking of those, and also same with the contour and bronzer shades. I will be doing, I think in the end of the year, some type of ranking which were my favorite bronzer and contour products, because, well, I think last year was the year of cream bronzers. I think everyone was coming out with a cream bronzer shade. I think we've had that continue a little bit to this year, and there has been like a few new bronzer and contour products that I have added to my collection. If you like this video, then push the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and of course you can also share this video. And if you want to get notifications from my next videos, then ring the bell button. But other than that, I'm happy that you watched this video, and I hopefully will see you again soon. Bye bye!